appreciate you being here. And I don't know why they asked me to do this, but we'll see if we can give you a quality demo. Talk to you a little bit, first of all, about some tools that we're going to use. Some things that are interesting and probably necessary for turning a lidded boxes. You're going to need a chuck. And you're going to need, starting out, I have a spur center and a live center. So when I face this off, I almost brought just a log piece to do it with a log piece, but I decided, I found this piece of elm in one of those boxes that they had here last month. And this thing is hard as concrete, so prayers are appreciated. All right. Jam chuck is a good thing to have when you want to finish off the bottom. However, I'm going to use my rubber chucky. Neat little deal. If you ever had a chance to get one, if you turn hollow forms or anything that you hollow out, this is a great thing to use to reverse turn with. And unlike the threaded rods you got from Tractor Supply, this is true. At least it was last time we used it. If you want depth thickness, you know, of course you have that. But I also have this little live center that I'm going to do, and depending on how you all say you want this done. If you want to turn something with a knob on it, it's good to have a live center, and I've got a piece of wood just so it doesn't mar the lid when we go to connect it all back. I'll explain the sequence of the steps as I go along. To do a recess on the bottom, you need a dovetail tool. I just took a scraper basically and reshaped it. Parting tools, and one of the most important things is a square scraper, and I have a razor edge just about on this, and a very square 90-degree thing. Detail gouges, I have a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch detail gouges, and plus your bowl gouge, and the famous Denny Martin hollowing tool. It's a boring bar that is absolutely great for it's the best way, in my opinion, to go out with. So, without any further ado, if you all have any questions, I'll get started. I know it's hot in here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is spindle gouge to rough this out. And because I preach safety, I better practice safety. Any questions so far? Goodbye. Darth Vader. Come on. You all have to bear with me. I don't normally turn on a little old Powermatic, and I'm having to suffer through this today. It's a privilege to be able to use one, I'll tell you. But I'm not used to Powermatic, so you all have to just bear with me if I fidget with the knobs. Now, this is about 4.5 inches wide, square. So I'm going to start roughing out about 475 RPM, somewhere along in there. A little more pressure.
Video looks like it slows down. That's true. Strange. That works.
A little bit too much vibration. What I want to do now is true up the ends. I like to start off with a bowl gouge, do that, and then I'll switch over to a spindle gouge or either parting tool. And I'm going to make a tenon on this end for the moment after I true it up. Close enough. Now I'm going to square this off on the shoulder. I'm going to square this off on the shoulder. Can everybody hear me okay?
This is Harold.
Picture?
Figured that bad blade out pretty well.
Alright, now I gotta use the chuck. So I'm gonna install it. I always like to tighten mine down just for safety. I couldn't hear that, so it's probably a good thing.
No.
Had nothing to do with it.
You're buying our air conditioner.
Right.
because there is a process you have to use in reversing this 2 or 3 times during the process of making the box. It is advisable to mark your chuck where the tenon goes on. That way you can repeat it. It will run truer. So I always take where my number 1 jaw is, jaw slide, and I'll just put a little 1 right there. That helps me to register that, keep it true for future purpose. Not too bad. I'm going to true up this end. I should have, could have kept the tail stock up there, but I can do it this way to really true it good. Some of that wobble is because the end is not true. This is just a 3/8" bolt, guys. This is my favorite thing for truing off one of these. Light cut.
Woo.
Just back up and try that again.
Did you dovetail the tenon?
On this chuck, you do not dovetail the tenon. It calls for a straight jaw. It's a Supernova 2. I'm used to it. Instead of fooling with Peters and not knowing what I'm doing, not used to it, I thought I'd just bring my own. I'll have to read through this. I think what I'm going to do is use this bowl gouge, and I'm just going to do a shear cut, and that'll smooth it, saving us some time. So slow down. I'm getting in a hurry. Alright, that's a pretty good finish on it. I have a knot right here. I still got part of that where I put my tool into it, so I'm going to take that out. Now, in the interest of design, this is where you got to, a point you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision if you're going to use the tenon and turn off the tenon when you finally reverse the box, or if you're going to use a recess. This one was done with the tenon. This one was done with a recess. So it just depends on how you want to hold it and how much wood you have. If you have enough wood that's available that you can use a tenon you know, most people like to clamp down on something rather than expand their jaws. So I'm running close, but I think I have enough. I'm going to go ahead and do a tenon on this end. That's probably the way most folks would want to do it, so that's the reason I'll do it this way. Square up the shoulder. All right, this is a critical juncture because you have to decide what the proportions of your box are going to be, the box portion versus the lid portion. Now, because we have the tenon that we can turn off when we reverse it, I can get close to the jaws, so I can make a mark about right here. You'll see it in a minute. So that's where I want the bottom of my box to be. Proportionally, the 2/3 rule. And I just want to give myself a little bit to play with. So this will be the box portion. This will be the lid portion. Any questions? The next thing you do is you take your parting tool and right in this vicinity of the line, you have to actually make your recess. I'm going to show you on this box here. No, that's not good. George, hand me that mosquito. Yes, thank you, sir. What we're trying to accomplish is this, basically a tenon on the inside, so you do a little parting cut to about the dimension you want for final. That way you can come back with an overlapping lid. That's harder to do than an inset lid. You can take an inset lid and make this on the inside of it and just set your lid down and rest on that if you want to. These are a little harder, but a lot of folks like these, so that's what I'm going to shoot for. This is when I go to a thin parting tool. Because these really cut nicely. probably ought to make myself a little bit more lip right there. Now that I look at it. Maybe if you probably do. When using a parting tool, especially a thin one, you always want to give yourself a relief area. So that's why you do two strokes or true curves, if you will. That way it's a safety thing. It won't catch and cause you problems. Before I part all the way, it's a good idea, and I got this running 915 RPMs. I don't like the idea of that thing flinging at me so much, so I'm going to take that last little bit off a little bit slower. Safety thing. That's what will be the lid. Now, at this juncture, I do it opposite from what Raffin does it. And I would say if you want to follow Raffin, help yourself, because he surely knows what he's doing. What works for him, what works for me is two different things. He fits the box to the lid. I fit the lid to the box. It's just easier for me to do the box first and fit the lid. I think it just, being a smaller piece of wood, it's easier to do, and it gives me the way to hold it, the way I want to reverse it, and everything else. So that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. If it doesn't match what you've seen somebody else do, then that's just what it is, okay? You are a quiet bunch today. Either you're learning a lot, or you already know this stuff, and you're saying, I'd do it differently. Maybe you would, so.
We're just awestruck.
We're afraid.
We're missing our vocal members. Charlie's not here.
Charlie's not here, that's it.
Oh, okay. I'll actually accept that.
Yeah, that's it.
Charlie's not here.
Take the
Okay.
blame, he's not here.
Put that in the notes.
Now, actually,
Quiet lady.
what I need to do, there's several ways you can do this. You can start hollowing right here. What I do is I start it with a bowl gouge sometimes. But in order to set the depth the way I want to, the ideal thing, I think, is because you're able, when you get down to the bottom, you're able to really see where to stop, because you don't want to haul through the bottom of this. I'm going to go ahead and take a drill bit and set my depth on where I want. And I would encourage you to do this because it's a good thing to do. And I hope you have a drill chuck. Now, don't pay any attention to that piece of tape. It may not work. It may. Let's see. I can go a little bit deeper.
You ever use a forest for that?
Yes, but I find that you have to clean them out a lot more often, and trying to do a demo with that kind of thing where you gotta stop and remove chips. You have to do with this too, but this is not as bad as putting it back clogging up.
Yeah.
The forestner bit is a good thing because it gives you a flat bottom.
Yeah.
You can get a lot more wood out of it too, like 2 inches.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and for this hollowing with a boring bar, you don't need a big hole. This is probably a half-inch drill bit maybe.
That's right. Absolutely.
And I'll show you my high-tech
Water on the back.
depth gauge shortly. Don't you love that sound?
It's like running your fingernails over the blackboard.
Right.
This is my high-tech depth gauge.
Works every time.
Can't beat it. I need to go about, not quite a quarter inch, maybe 3/16.
How thick do you want your bottom to be when you're finished?
Well, this is dry wood, so I'm probably going to go a little over a quarter, just a little over a quarter. But I'll probably decorate this little up to where the pencil mark is, because I'll cut it off and it'll end up being a quarter, maybe 3/8. I doubt 3/3. Probably about a quarter.
So the pencil mark is the bottom of the box or one of your decorative things?
Well, that's flexible at this point. I could take where that pencil mark is, and I probably will put a burn line in there. But anyway, I wanted to use that as a reference so I would know how far that I needed to go. I want to touch bottom. Right here on this point, this last bit of drill, I want to touch bottom. And then that tells me I can look at the drill bit and according to the reference on that little bit of tape at the bottom right there. I want to go maybe about 3/16 now.
Okay, let's stop.
That'd be rough on the foot. It'd be rough on the foot.
Mine has a stop. That one does too, thankfully. that wouldn't be any fun. The famous Martin boring bar with my own grind on I replaced the tip. I got yours as a spare there in the back. Now, depending on the characteristic of the individual piece of wood, you got to have your rest out a little bit so you have room to pull it. That's going to get in my way for sure. Mine's got enough room I don't have to worry about the nail with it. But anyway, you see where I've got this resting? This is just going to be about the center line, and I'll tilt it up just a hair because you want to use this hollowing just a hair above the center line. Make sense to everybody? Okay.
Take it off. Jeff? Take it off.
I'll need it again, so I'm okay. I think I can maneuver around it. You don't want to go heavy pressure. You want to let your tool do the cutting. End grain, you always want to hollow from the center out to the wall. If it's side grain, you want to go from the walls into the center. Okay? They say watching somebody hollow is about as fun as watching paint dry.
That's right, yeah.
Roger, what are you turning at? What's your speed?
I'm about 800 now, close to it. I could go a little bit more. You don't want to hollow real high speed.
This thing's so good.
Now you've just seen what I would have done if I'd gone all the way to the bottom. I'd have gone all the way down that side. This thing will put a nice finish. You can probably start sanding at 180, 220 grit with that off that edge. Okay? So, just in the interest of time, we've cut down. You see how thin I've got the rim? You got a picture of that? Yep. Okay. Now, what I want to do, this is crucial. This is where these dividers come in. You have to have a good pair of dividers. Since we're going to do an overlay lid, the critical dimension is the outside edges. And you need to be right at center line. When you take this measurement. I always is fudge on it, just a hair. You can always take more off, but I have never ever found out how to put any more back on.
Good.
So it's if you fudge on this measurement just a little bit, in case you get a catch or have a slip or So I'm going to fudge on it just a hair, and that way that leaves me some wiggle room a little bit later on. All right, now
You fudge it a little smaller, you mean, right?
make it smaller. Now, like you said, you can always take some off to make it fit nicely, but you keep taking it off and it'll fit sloppier and sloppier every time you do it. So that's the problem with that.
Drill a hole in the side.
All right, let's put the lid portion on. This is probably the hardest part of making the box, is fitting the lid. And it's a trial and error process. You can get close, but then you still got to fit. And sometimes when you get really close, but it's not quite, the best thing you can do is pull out a 120 grit gouge. Right, Rolf?
Should be loosening.
All right. And again, this is right just about the center point. And what I do is I allow enough of the thickness of my calipers here. You don't need it very fast for this. What you do, you don't stick both ends in. That's trust me. You got to go with your left point and then kind of eyeball it. And then when you get the groove, you want to put it in a little bit. That's okay, but you got to start that groove first. If you don't, you're going to throw these things, and they got real sharp points on them. That mark, that score, tells me that I do not need to go outside of that whatsoever. Now I'm going to lower my tool rest a little bit, because this is where I like to start off with my 3/8 inch bowl gouge, just to do a little bit of hollow around the center.
Do you have a pencil?
Pardon?
Do you have a pencil? Can you highlight that score so
I can, yes,
people
sir.
can see it?
Absolutely. You see it? Okay. This is the area in here I'm going to take off. Now at this point, one of the things you need to do is kind of true up that where it's going to join together. So I'm going to do that. Now what I want to do is I want to make a little like a ledge on the inside right next to that line. Everybody understand what I'm doing? I'm going to make a plunge cut right next to my score line, and I'm going to just give myself a little bit of recess, and it'll add a little decorative thing to the inside. I'm going to slow it down a little bit first. Right? With a parting tool, you don't want to go fast. This is where I like to switch off to the 3/8" detail gouge. What I'm going to do is clean up this inside a little bit. Of course, naturally, I'm not going to take time to sand, but you would want to sand this out. Now I'm going to put a little detail on the inside. Some decorative rings. Perfect. Now, this is where your trial and error comes in. What I need to do now is make this recess to fit this. So I've got to work on this a little bit, and I know that I'm close in the area, so I'm just going to have to trial and fit, and it's a process, it's not an event. Okay?
Good say
Fudging on it a little bit allowed me to be able to check. I know I've got to go a little bit further, which I knew that, but that's something that's important, trial and error part. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the detail gouge and I'm going to put it in. It's almost like a skew, but you don't have the problems with it like you do with a skew catching and skating on it. This can skate, but if you hold it firm and give it a little control with your thumb, you can do a pretty good job with that. Just about there.
Roger, why don't you use your parting tool to go straight in?
You can, and actually, probably the best tool, I was making, concerned about making those decorative rings. The best tool right here is actually go back to that square and scrape it. Okay?
It's loose. The looseness sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it's
Too loose. Quite hard enough there, I think. Good fit. Yeah, you use this thing.
That's good.
All right, you got a grain match now. This is where you got to go back and you got to reverse this thing.
While he's doing that, let me announce that the club challenge for September is to put a lid on it. So it's to make some type of box, a lidded box, and we'll do a judging in September. Also, we'll have the video, if you want to see Roger do a repeat performance, we'll have a video up on the website within a few days, and it'll probably be about 30 minutes in length. It's the artistic liberty of fade in, fade out for some of the howling sections.
60-degree cone center. Okay, you got to do some final truing because you see it's just a little bit difference in the diameter. Easily handled with your bow guide with a shear cut. You said you wanted the knob, is that right?
Yep.
All right.
Whatever's the hardest, what we want.
Protected. Right, and I watched the video. Where is that piece of plastic shield? Where is it?
Yeah, black that. I really like it. So nice to light it up.
We ain't cut to get a slack on each other.
Yeah.
So you didn't make that yourself, huh?
I did not make that myself.
Dale did not help you.
No. Let's see if it runs true.
What do you need?
It needs a little bit of adjustment.
Wiggle.
Got to tighten that so it won't work its way back out. Again, you could have used a jam chuck with a piece of mouse pad or something on it. That's what I bought that for, just to show you. But it's so much easier, quicker to center it up on this. All right, let's get a bottom finished off. I'm going to go back to this 3/8 inch detail gouge. There it is. I'll put a little groove. Little burn line.
Don't wrap the wire around your finger.
Could put one up here.
No handles.
He wraps it around his finger.
I know how far away to keep it. My fingers from getting, trust me, I've had a blister or two in my tongue. So I know how to do that. All right, let's finish off the bottom. Come here. Put a groove. Of course, you would have your sanding and all that going on, and also the process lengthy. Oh man! You want to leave that little nub. You don't want to get less than about a quarter of an inch.
How do you take that last part off? Since you asked.
Just take it like this.
Oh, you
Heads up, Dale.
You cut it.
Don't break it off, it'll leave, it'll tear
Exactly.
the
That's why.
fibers
That's
out.
why you part it off. With a sharp chisel or a knife. And then you go back and you sand it. So you take whatever little marks you have off. You can knock it off with a hammer and chisel, but I always just like to score it like this, go around on it.
I've got a little fresh saw.
Yeah, me too. Little Japanese.
I've got a dovetail saw and all that kind of stuff. That does work, but this was simple to carry.
Yeah.
That elm is tough.
Could you back up and get it on camera? Oh, there we go. Oh, you got it
So
on. You're not on camera.
If you're going to smooth it out with a chisel, go with the grain, like I'm doing right now. And just to sand, and you notice I've got a little recess in here so that it doesn't wobble. That rim will help it to sit straight. But I appreciate y'all not wanting to watch the hollowing.